Right now on KGW, the battle against devastating wildfires in Los Angeles enters its fourth day. What we're learning as the death toll continues to grow. Plus, President-elect Trump is sentenced in his New York hush money case just 10 days before taking the oath of office. And the new information in cases against a man accused of kidnapping and then sexually assaulting a woman in her Portland apartment. But first, thousands of doctors, nurses, and other workers walk off the job in the largest healthcare worker strike in Oregon history. Your news at noon starts right now.
We have, expressed this over the years. It's not, something that just happened this year. This has been going on, for several years now. And it's been a struggle to get the appropriate staffing that we need.
For the first time, around 100 physicians will walk out alongside thousands of nurses at Providence locations around Portland. Thank you for joining this afternoon. I'm China Green. Providence healthcare workers have been on strike since 6 a.m. this morning. KGW Celine Stevens joins us live outside Providence St. Vincent Hospital in Northwest Portland. Celine.
China. Providence says operations are running smoothly. Those temporary replacement nurses and physicians being pulled in from other facilities to come meet patient demands. But if you look here at this picket line, there are a lot of healthcare workers lining the block right here. And in fact, Providence says that there's only about 10% of represented providers working today. So here's how we got here. Healthcare workers represented by Oregon Nurses Association have cited a need for more competitive wages, better staffing, and claim Providence has not followed the state's safe staffing law. Providence says that's not true, but also notes the shortage of doctors and nurses, making it more difficult to meet demands. But they say they still have increased staffing in recent years. Providence has offered a 20% raise over the next 3 years for acute care RNs, up to $5,000 ratification bonuses, and more. But ONA members continue to also push for that better staffing. While nurses represented by ONA are striking at all 8 hospitals and Providence women's clinics, physicians are only striking at St. Vincent and the women's clinics, with a couple of those clinics being closed and another having limited services. While nurses say they're doing this to help improve care for their patients and are pointing fingers at Providence, Providence says impacted patient care falls on the union.
We are constantly being asked to do more with less. Providence continues to not listen to what we're asking for in order to be able to care for our patients safely.
The union leaders who called this strike did so with the intention of disrupting patient care, especially at Providence St. Vincent's and in our women's clinics, where some of our physicians have chosen to strike.
Providence says if you are in need of urgent care, still come to their hospitals. They will be able to take care of you, but just be aware wait times may be longer than normal. As for the women's clinics, Providence also said only around a quarter to a third of appointments are making it through today due to the strike. China, back to you.
Celine Stevens reporting for us live this afternoon. Thank you, Celine. We turn now to the devastating wildfires near Los Angeles. We are going to take a live look at the new Archer fire that erupted just over an hour ago. This is in the northern part of the San Fernando Valley and the Hearst fire north of LA. As of today, 10 people have been killed in the Palisades and Eaton fires. 153,000 people are still under evacuation orders throughout the region, and more than 10,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed. That includes homes, businesses, schools, and places of worship. Over the past few days, we have witnessed scenes of horrific destruction, but in the face of these dark days, we have also seen the best of humanity. NBC's Liz Kreutz spoke with residents on the ground who decided to stay and help their neighbors in their greatest time of need.
Shocking scenes still unfolding in Southern California, where flames continue to swallow up everything in sight. For Brianna Navarro, the loss unimaginable.
She loved her family.
She says her 83-year-old grandmother, Arlene Kelly, died inside her home.
It's devastating. We didn't expect to lose her so tragically.
Still burned for hours and hours.
Some residents becoming heroes.
You can see that tree was on fire.
When Scott Kay saw flames encroaching the street, he turned off gas lines and picked up garden hoses. He jumped in to fight the flames with a small team of neighbors.
I can't control any of this, but I can turn on a garden hose, and I can turn off a gas line, so I can do what I can control.
And those small things made a big difference.
I don't know if they did or not.
Number of homes didn't burn, but yeah, Scott definitely saved a lot.
What do you want to say to Scott?
I think he is a hero.
In Pasadena, a crowd gathering overnight to hand out supplies for fire victims. Houses of worship, including this synagogue, opening doors to those in need.
This is now a refuge for the entire community, not just the Jewish community.
And first responders showing resilience in the face of adversity. In Altadena, courageously hopping over fences to rescue animals surrounded by fire. And star Jamie Lee Curtis, whose neighborhood was destroyed, pledging $1 million to relief efforts. Actor James Woods highlighting a local pharmacy that's helping provide evacuees with critical medications. The pharmacy's owner saying not helping was never an option.
That's just what community pharmacy does. We definitely put others before ourselves.
We're going to go over to Rod Hill in the Weather Center. Rod, you've been keeping tabs on the wind out there.
Yeah, you mentioned another fire starting today. So I follow strictly the weather portion of the story, and I'm happy to tell you about 30 minutes ago when I read the latest discussion out of the Los Angeles forecast office. It's the first time I've basically seen them allude to the fact that they don't have much wind going on right now, period, is the way I read their discussion. And they made reference to the fact that these wind warnings may be dropped early today because of that. Now, right now, high wind warning is the tan color, still up until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then this brighter pinkish tone is a red flag fire weather warning for dry humidity up until 6. But again, even some of the peak areas in the canyons that have had gusty winds to 40 plus over the last day are reporting like 15-mile-per-hour winds at this hour. Now, even if the winds fade away completely today for the most part and stay calm tonight and much of tomorrow, they are expecting the winds to pop back up to some degree on Sunday, but they're using terms like maybe up to advisory levels, not warning levels, which would be a wind that would be less than 40 miles per hour in terms of the peak gusts. So again, the weather's continuing to be better. All right, here's what we have going on. We've had the big chunk of rain move through this morning. You see that our showers scattered on the radar. It's some snow up at Government Camp. Right now, the temperature is actually 36, so the pass is okay. Downtown Portland, we've had some sun breaks. We only have a few scattered showers around at this hour. Temperature is 45. We'll stay in the upper 40s today. Back to you.
Thank you, Rod. As those wildfires devastate parts of Los Angeles, residents in Oregon's Blue River are reminded of the wildfire that destroyed their community. The 2020 Holiday Farm fire in Central Oregon burned 165,000 acres and ripped through the Blue River community, destroying 500 structures. Residents say it's important to lean on your neighbors during crisis, even in larger urban settings like Los Angeles.
People, the locals helping locals in their neighborhood, I hope they band together and realize they've got each other's backs. Every community can do that. It doesn't have to be a small rural community. It could be LA.
Yeah, well, Blue River residents say it may take a long time to recover. They want to remind those in Southern California to never give up. Tonight, join Lester Holt and the NBC News team for an NBC News special providing in-depth coverage of the deadly wildfires in California. Fire and ash devastation in LA. We'll tackle the impact of this week's fires on LA communities, the environment, and first responders. Here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. The New York judge who presided over what's been called Donald Trump's hush money case sentenced the president-elect to an unconditional discharge. That means Trump is now a convicted felon in the eyes of New York state law, but will face no further penalties. The sentencing came just 10 days before Trump is set to be sworn back into the Oval Office. Trump's attorneys had repeatedly sought to stay this proceeding, appealing to the two state appeals courts and the Supreme Court, who denied to intervene. After choosing not to intervene in the president-elect's case, the Supreme Court will spend today's hearing arguments before deciding the fate of TikTok. Justices agreed to expedite the video from sharing platform's First Amendment case. Congress passed a TikTok ban last April that requires TikTok to either shut down or find a new owner by January 19th. And a major snowstorm is making its way from Texas to the mid-Atlantic coast. According to the National Weather Service, road conditions will be treacherous across much of the region. The winter weather is expected to remain throughout the day today. And those are a look at your national headlines. The man accused of kidnapping and then sexually assaulting a 74-year-old woman in her downtown Portland apartment will remain behind bars. Yesterday, a judge agreed with prosecutors that 69-year-old Kenneth Williams should continue to be held without bail until his trial. Prosecutors say there are also other pending investigations into Williams, and they believe he could have involved other unreported incidents. A former student teacher at Sherwood High will be spending the next 3 years behind bars after admitting he exchanged sexually explicit messages with a student. Mason Dominguez, who is now 25, was a George Fox University student teacher in Sherwood the spring of 2023. He was fired after admitting to messaging a student on social media. But a second student then came forward and reported that Dominguez sent her sexually explicit images of himself. This week, Dominguez right there pleaded guilty to luring a minor and related charges. He will now be required to register as a sex offender. Multnomah County leaders say that they have found the ideal spot to open a 24/7 sobering center in Portland. Commissioners say the county plans to purchase a building on Southeast Grand across from Goodwill. Officials say that they have been looking for a space that was centrally located, wasn't close to any schools, and has had 2 or more entrances. An exact opening date isn't set, but it wouldn't likely happen until sometime next year.